Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we are back again with another interesting Jay Slater video. I hope every single one of you guys are enjoying your Friday evening. Back again with another interesting Jay Slater video. There's a few things that I want to bring to your attention, starting with the Inquest. There has been an update on the Inquest. As we can see here, ladies and gentlemen, it will resume on the 24th and 25th. The Inquest will actually run for 2 days. Are we going to see all of the witnesses turn up and give their statements, give their side of the story? There are a number of people I'm looking forward to hearing at the inquest, as well as how they respond to the questions that they're asked. Because ultimately, everyone's going to be under the microscope. Ultimately, everyone's going to be getting cross-examined. Debbie and Warren didn't get the court adjourned for them not to get cross-examined. I mean, the real focus here is to find out what truly happened to Jay, understand why he went to the Airbnb, why he left the Airbnb, went the wrong way. Speaking of Debbie, I told you guys recently that me and Abe had been talking in the DMs. And one of the things that Abe said to me was, he's got Debbie's number and he can call her whenever he wants. So now it's got me thinking, well, if you've got Debbie's number, why have you not made the call? If you are fronting as if you can call her at any time, why have you not made the call? See, Abe says it as if he's already had the conversation with Debbie. I mean, he could have reached out to Debbie after the initial inquest. There could have been some type of conversation, we don't know. But one thing I do want to bring to your attention, because it has been bugging me, and it's pretty obvious, especially after all of the information we now have from Mark Williams Thomas's podcast, Abe's story and the narrative that he spilled out within the first weeks of Jay going missing, I'm going to help you understand why him having certain information doesn't make any sense. See, he was telling us information that Brad couldn't tell us. He was telling us information that Brandon didn't tell us. He was telling us information that Lucy didn't tell us. See, Abe had all of the information after 2 days of Jay going missing. See, there were things that Abe said that just doesn't make any sense. And it's only now that I'm realizing, hold on, you shouldn't have known that. As an example, Jay's mate standing up and asking him for the key. See, that one there is extremely weird. Jay's mate stood up and asked him for the key. Bearing in mind, if you listen to Abe's story, he says they were all together, all of the boys. He didn't mention anything about girls, he said all of the boys. So all of the boys are together and they're all on the strip doing their thing. They're all just chilling, doing their thing. And maybe Brad's just sitting over there and he's next to Jay. And, you know, Brad and Jay are just talking. How would Abe know that Brad is asking Jay for the key? Like, how would he know that? He doesn't know Jay, he doesn't know Brad. According to himself, that's what he says. He doesn't know them. He's with all the boys. They're all on the strip. The music's pumping, the atmosphere's wild, but somehow Abe knows that Brad is asking Jay for the key. What key? The key to where? See, that's another problem. The key to where? How does Abe at this point know that Brad and Jay are staying together? Why doesn't Abe think that Jay's staying with Lucy or Jay staying with Brandon? How does he know? If he doesn't know Jay, doesn't know Brad, how does he know those two people are staying together? How would he be able to observe in that type of atmosphere, in that type of environment? How would he be able to observe being with all of the boys that Brad and Jay, two people he don't know, had a conversation where Brad stood up and asked him for the key? See, that information there, Abe wouldn't know unless Brad went to Abe and said, Abe, just to let you know, I'm about to ask Jay for our apartment key because I'm going home. Look, think of it like this. Jay and Brad are sitting over there. They're about 5 to 10 meters away from Abe, but the boys are still all together. Music's pumping, the atmosphere's wild, and there's a lot going on. You might see Brad talking to Jay. He might be whispering something in Jay's ear because, again, the atmosphere is a bit too loud. How would Abe at that point know Brad is asking Jay for the key? And how would he know that they're both staying together at the apartment? So let's say, for the sake of Abe's narrative, that they were all together. They were all chilling within a 5 to 10 meter radius of each other. The environment's absolutely jumping. You can barely hear each other. You have to go really close up to each other to really understand what we're saying. Brad and Jay are not up Abe's arse. And Abe's not up Jay and Brad's arse. There's no reason to be. I don't know them and they don't know me. So let's say they are chilling over there and Abe looks over and he sees Brad's and Jay talking to each other. He sees them talking to each other and then Brad starts to walk away. He walks around the corner and Brad's gone for the minute. Can we then assume at that point that Brad asked Jay for the key and then went home? Can we make that assumption based on what we just saw? Without hearing anything? No, we can't really make that assumption. Brad could have been taking Jay's card and going to the cash machine. Brad could have been asking Jay for some money, going to the bar. Brad could have been asking Jay to use his phone because he wanted to call his mum. I mean, there's multiple things that could have happened if you observe two people talking and one person walking away and exiting the building. Doesn't make any sense how Ayab would have known Brad asked Jay for the key. There's only two scenarios. There's only two possible scenarios. One of them is what I already said. Brad went up to Ayab and said to Ayab, I'm about to ask Jay for the key because I want to go back to my apartment. Or the second one is Brad stood up in front of everyone screaming above the music, above all of the noise, and everybody would have heard Brad say to Jay, give me the key, I want to go back to the apartment. Now, the only way that would have made sense is if there was some sort of confrontation between Jay and Brad. Maybe they had an argument. So Brad was like, Brad, just give me the key, I want to go back to the apartment. That would have been a way of Ayab knowing that Brad asked for the key and went back to the apartment. Any other way doesn't make any sense. Ayab, a person who's meant to be a stranger, shouldn't know that Brad asked his best friend for the key to go back to the apartment. How and why should you know that information? It doesn't make any sense. See, Ayab's the only person that tells us that. Brad doesn't tell us he asked Jay for the key and goes back to the apartment. Brad tells us he just come out of the festival. Lucy doesn't tell us Brad asked Jay for the key and went back to the apartment. Brandon doesn't mention anything about Brad asking for the key and going back to the apartment. There's only one person that tells us about that, Ayab Qasim. See, another problem I'm having with Ayab's story is that Ayab was saying he was with all of the boys. He was with all of the boys, he says. Cool. If Brad would have taken Jay's key and left, that's one person leaving all of the boys. That must mean that Jay would have been asking more than one person to go back to their apartment. That why would Jay only ask Ayab? Out of all of the people that could have possibly been there, Jay only wants to ask Ayab to go back to his apartment, his B&B. I mean, what about anyone else? If you're saying all of the boys, I mean, who can all of the boys be? Just you, Brad, Rocky, and Brandon. Is that who you're referring to? And Jay making it 5? Who's all of the boys? I don't get it. But based on the way Ayab describes the situation, it must mean Jay would have asked more than just Ayab about going to their apartment. There must be someone else that Jay would have asked to go to their apartment. Oh, I don't have the key. I've got nowhere to go. All my friends have left me. Can I stay at yours? You're telling me Ayab is the only person Jay asked to go back to their apartment with. And then not only that, you have to think to yourself, Jay at this point would have had battery on his phone. So if he had battery on his phone, and he was compass mentis to the point where he knew he never had his key, and he was confident in asking someone like Ayab, this stranger, to go back to his apartment with him, why did he not just call his friends there on the spot? Like, forget Ayab calling them, forget anyone calling them for him. If he knows what he's doing, and he was in control of himself when he left the NRG festival, like Mark Williams Thomas says, then why did he not just call his friends at that point? Why is he getting into a car with Ayab, and why is Ayab allowing him to get into the car? You're allowing him to get into a car, you've painted the picture that Rocky is waved out of his face, sleeping from the point of getting into the car all the way to the Airbnb. He then somehow wakes up magically, the only time he wakes up throughout that whole half an hour journey. He wakes up, goes straight into the Airbnb and goes to sleep. And he's never heard of again until Lucy knocks on the door at midday the following day, after Jay's been missing for at least 3.5, 4 hours. You've painted this story about Rocky being unconscious, more or less, which I believe has been turned on its head because the person that would have been unconscious is Jay, but they've made it look like it was Rocky that was unconscious. We're supposed to believe that Rocky was unconscious in the car and Ayab was openly inviting and offering Jay a sofa to sleep on when his apartment was 8 minutes down the road. Brad took the key a little while ago. Why don't you call Brad, my guy? How about call Brandon? Or let me call Brandon. Or Lucy. But no, none of those options were exercised. None of those options were thought about. What they decided to do was say, Jay got into a car with 2 strangers he didn't know, he went to the mountains, and unfortunately, you're never going to see him again. Everything that comes after seeing Jay on that footage in the NRG festival with his t-shirt off, everything that comes after that has been fabricated. We never see Jay again after that bit of footage. Even the picture of Jay in the back of the car at this moment in time is under scrutiny and is extremely questionable. But what we do know for sure is that we've got Ayab taking a picture of whoever that person is in the back of that car. If it is Jay, in my opinion, as I've already told you guys, it's a badly beaten Jay. If it is Jay and a badly beaten Jay in that picture, ladies and gentlemen, and it's Ayub taking a picture of Jay in the back of the car, ladies and gentlemen, like he already confirms to Mark Williams Thomas, ladies and gentlemen, then it means at some point at the Airbnb, there must have been a transaction whereby Jay was potentially transferred into another vehicle. A wheelbarrow could have been used, ladies and gentlemen, and they went to a part of that ravine where we see the likes of Sluggy and Chris in the videos that we watched, and they threw Jay off. They threw Jay off. That makes so much more sense than any other narrative that has been put on the table. There is no way in hell you are going to convince me, based on all of the intel that we have, that Jay went to that Airbnb consciously and chose to walk 11 hours back to his apartment. The intel says no. Members of Jay's family confirming that Jay doesn't even like walking, that Jay complains about walking to the barbershop. He complained to Debbie whilst he was in Tenerife about how far his apartment was from NRG Festival, and it was only 8 minutes in a car, ladies and gentlemen. And you're telling me Jay went to that Airbnb and decided to walk the wrong way and walk through a ravine? Stop the cap. It's absolute rubbish. I know it, Ayub knows it, Lucy knows it, Brad knows it, Brandon knows it, Chris knows it, Sluggy knows it, Ophelia knows it. And I think there's a few more people in their circle that may know about it, but of course haven't said nothing about it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to leave it there. Again, bit of perspective. Tell me how Ayub should know that information. He shouldn't know that information. He shouldn't know that Brad asked Jay for the key. He shouldn't know that. You don't know none of them. You don't know none of them to know that bit of information. So that tells me it's all made up. You're lying. Remember, the initial take was Jay lost these keys. That's what we were initially told. And within a short space of time, it got twisted and changed to his mate stood up and asked for the key. At that moment, I told you they changed it because they realized they needed to find an alibi for Brad. They also used Josh Forshaw as a way of creating an alibi for Brad. They didn't mind throwing Ayub under the bus at that point. One, Ayub was already out of the country by the time Josh Forshaw would have sent that message to Debbie. So if he's already out of the country, there's not much the police can do about it. And for two, when Mark Williams Thomas or the authorities get to question Ayub, he denies it all. See, the thing is, he denies it all, but there's going to be no one there to object. There's going to be no one there to say, actually, you're lying. You are the guy that was selling the cocaine. You are the guy that was giving the drugs to Jay. You and Brandon were together. Yeah, I saw you guys together. Like, they're not going to do that, are they? See, the only person that can do that is Josh Forshaw, because that's where the message come from. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I need you guys to comment down below. Let me know exactly how you're feeling at this moment in time. Leave all your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section down below. I need to know exactly what you're thinking. Make sure you hit the like button. Do subscribe to the channel if we're newly watching. Turn those notification bells on. You don't want to miss out on future videos. We've just dropped a disturbing video that's going to make you question everyone that lives in our current society. So make sure you go and check that out. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.